Good morning, legal AFers. Good morning, Karen Friedman, Agnifilo. Good morning to all the Midas Mighty out there. We're in week 5, day 18 of the Donald Trump criminal trial in Manhattan for falsification of business records. This will be the last day this week of trial. Donald Trump requested Friday off, previously saying that he would be attending Barron's graduation. Whether or not that actually happens is to be determined. But the judge never denied Donald Trump the ability to go to Barron's graduation, simply said, I wasn't making a ruling during the first day of jury selection. But as the trial has progressed at an expeditious pace, Justice Merchan said, look, we can take that Friday off. By all accounts, the district attorney's office has informed Justice Merchan, has informed the court, has informed the defendants and the defense lawyer that Michael Cohen is going to be their last witness in the prosecution's case in chief. They believe that ending with Michael Cohen, based on how he's done thus far, would be ending on a strong and powerful note. So, no more witnesses from the prosecution. The question then becomes, will the defense put on a defense or will they rest? Todd Blanche, Donald Trump's lawyer, had, I think, previously informed the court that there may be a expert witness who the defense may be considering putting on, but said that it's possible that that expert is not going to testify. So it doesn't seem like there's going to be any other witnesses. I don't know, Karen, if today, after Cohen completes, if they do complete Cohen's cross-exam, after Cohen finishes, if Justice Merchan's going to then ask at that moment, or will ask early in the day, do you intend, does your client intend to take the stand, so we can prepare for that if that's going to come in the morning? I'll get your take in the afternoon at all tomorrow, or if they're going to wait for Monday to address that question. But if Cohen's cross-exam finishes tomorrow, and there's some indication that the cross-exam may finish tomorrow, I think that's how Blanche at least thought at the end of the proceedings on Tuesday. Although I think Blanche has gotten so much criticism for not doing a good job on the cross-exam thus far, he may have to retool and kind of come up with some other strategy. So we'll see if he's going to try to rebound after what many people are saying was just so far a really poor cross-examination of Michael Cohen thus far, and also Michael Cohen doing a good job, as good of a job as he can under these types of circumstances in cross-exam. Karen, we also expect there to be a new group in Donald Trump's entourage. Every day he's been bringing new MAGA Republican members from Congress. The expectation today is that Matt Gaetz, Anna Paulina Luna, and Andy Biggs, all who have had kind of personal issues as well, they will be joining and accompanying Donald Trump to the courthouse. I think the striking image of Melania not being there and MAGA Republican members of Congress being there, and the only family member of Trump to be there is Eric. It just seems like a disastrous strategy to highlight that Donald Trump directly undercutting the defense, to the extent there is one, that Donald Trump was worried about Melania when no family other than Eric for a little bit was there to be seen. But Trump keeps parading in these politicians. And I have to imagine that the jury sees what's going on and they're kind of wise to that piece of it. And I'll toss it to you, Karen, but between Trump like continuing to like fall asleep, with Trump's lawyers, I mean, Susan Necklace having that really bad cross of Stormy Daniels, and she was supposed to have a good reputation, but by all accounts, her cross was a disaster. Then you have Todd Blanche, who is supposed to have a good reputation. So far, his cross is a disaster. Michael Cohen and all the prosecution's witness presenting professionally. Trump trying to turning the court with Matt Gaetz and people like that into, into a circus. Like, I just have to imagine, and again, I can't read the jurors' minds, but his behavior is so abhorrent that when you're in this fish box or this fish tank, fishes aren't in boxes. When you're in this fish tank that is a jury trial, um, the jury's looking at who they relate to, who they cheering for, and like Trump's behavior is just so abhorrent. Like, it's just shockingly disrespectful and disgusting. So that's my 2 cents. But today's the day, right? I mean, this is the big moment right here. Is Michael Cohen going to hold up on cross-exam the way he did before? Is Trump's lawyer Todd Blanche going to rebound? This is kind of the most important day of the trial, right? This is for all the marbles, as we used to say growing up. People still say that. We used to say growing up. Karen, what do you think's going on?
Well, what a way to tell the jury this is not about the election, but tell them it's about the election, as you said, by parading all these politicians in and making this political. I mean, juries, it's so interesting to me about juries because they see and hear everything that's going on in terms of the evidence and the witnesses, but they also see everything else. They see who's there, who's not there, who's coming in, etc. They see that Donald Trump is falling asleep. They see, all the things that are going on. They see it, and so yes, they will see that this is a political kind of people showing up to pay the respects of the mob boss and kiss the ring and leave. There's no one person sitting there like that cares about him, who's been there every single day, who's just like, this is a good guy, I love him, like his kids, anybody. It's just what other person can come in and literally kiss the ring of the mob boss. That's what it's going to look like. And they know what's happening, because they see that people are not able to get into the courtroom at certain times or leave at certain times, and they have prime seats and they're acting differently than everybody else. So it's very much what he's doing. He's sending this other message to them, which I'm not sure is a great message to the jury. What is he trying to do? Intimidate the witnesses? Intimidate Michael Cohen by having these people there? I mean, because I don't really understand how it helps him in any way. Look, I think he calculated the fact that they just assume that a conviction is a given here because it's a Manhattan jury. And so they're only playing this in the court of public opinion, not in the court of law. And that's a mistake, because there is a decent defense here, but they're just not availing themselves of it. And instead, they're literally, it's backfiring. Look, it's no sure thing. It's still, he's still innocent until proven guilty. He's not guilty of these crimes until the 12 jurors agree that he is. So, there's still a long way to go, even though today might be the last day of testimony on the People's Direct case, although we don't know. The cross-examination, I suspect, is going to last all day, but it could last longer. It could go into next week. And next week's a short week again as well, because they're giving Friday before Memorial Day off. I think a juror had an issue. And so it's only a 3-day week again, because Wednesdays the court is always off. So this is kind of, I agree with you, the most important day of the trial, because the rest of the case has gone in beautifully. They've absolutely proven beyond a reasonable doubt that a crime was committed and that a felony was committed, in my opinion. But Michael Cohen is the key, I think, because Alan Weisselberg isn't coming in. I think he's the key to really linking it to Donald Trump beyond a reasonable doubt. There's circumstantial evidence that Trump is guilty of this crime, but Michael Cohen is critical. And almost everything he says has been corroborated, which is great. And the prosecution did a great job at introducing all of the evidence that corroborates Michael Cohen before he testified. And it's a way of letting the jury see that evidence twice. They saw it when it was introduced, and then they're going to see it again through Michael Cohen. And so that reinforces the importance of the this corroborative evidence, things like phone records, calendar entries, whatever it is, defendant's own tweets, his own words, book, things that he says in books about how he does things. And then here you have Michael Cohen saying something happened like that, et cetera. Just all the evidence that corroborates it, the criminal scheme written down on exhibit 35 and 36, where you don't get evidence like that in trials, where usually it's much more subtle. You don't get evidence where you've got the CFO Alan Weisselberg on the actual bank statement that Michael Cohen opened, right, this account to pay Stormy Daniels. He deposited $131,000 in it, and then he took out $130,000. I mean, and then you have Alan Weisselberg in his handwriting saying like, okay, 130 gross up, with like he literally spells out the crime on this bank statement. Like it doesn't get better than that piece of evidence. And so it's going really, really well. But, and as you said, the first half day of Michael Cohen's cross-examination, I was not in the courtroom, but by all accounts, it kind of fell flat. And partly, I think, because Michael, I am told, and I'm reading what he said, did really well. He answered the questions. He owned his mistakes. He owned who he is. He owned up to all of the things he has done. And Todd Blanche, I think, I don't know, maybe Michael Cohen got under his skin because Todd Blanche went after him and made it personal. Oh, did you call me names? And I forgot what name it was, dipshit or something like that, and like made it about himself. And that's just not good lawyering to make it personal. It's not supposed to be personal. And I think it clouded his judgment, because he's by all accounts a really good lawyer, I've heard, by reputation. So I think it must have clouded his judgment. And the rest of his cross-examination so far, I don't think had the impact that he wanted it to have. I think part of it too is the prosecution took the sting out of all his zingers. Everything he had, it's not like any good lawyer, especially a good prosecutor, especially Susan Hoffinger, who was a trained defense attorney for the last 2 decades. She was a prosecutor early on in her career, but she's one of the criminal defense attorneys, white collar criminal defense attorneys in New York. And Alvin Bragg brought her in to be an executive, and she's trying this case, right? So she knows she knows exactly what the cross-examination of Michael Cohen would be. She knows where the pressure points are, where what the tricks are going to be. And so rather than letting the defense attorney do them, she gets them all out ahead of time, just deflates the balloon, takes all of the air out of and steam out of his arguments. And so the jury's already heard it. And guess where they heard it? They heard it in voir dire. They heard it in the opening. And then they heard it on the direct of Michael Cohen. So by the time they heard all that from the prosecution. So by the time Todd Blanche is getting to it in his cross-examination, the jury's like, yeah, we heard that already. Can you get to your point? And can you get to, like, is your client guilty or not? We realize that Michael Cohen himself has done things in his life too, but we're here about your client, not just about Michael Cohen. And, the fact of the matter is he's got to be careful, Ben, because the more he dirties up Michael Cohen, frankly, and the more he makes him look bad, the worse it makes Donald Trump look, because Donald Trump is the one who embraced him when he was at that point in his life doing these bad things. He has since redeemed himself. He has since made it a point to absolutely change his ways and try to redeem himself and try to get forgiveness. And what happens when he turned a new leaf? Donald Trump abandoned him and said he's a bad person. But back when he was willing to do nefarious things, commit crimes on his behalf, lie on his behalf, bully people on his behalf, Donald Trump embraced him. And the prosecution's already put in those social media posts where he talked about what a good man Michael Cohen was when he was bad, and what a bad man he is when he was good. All of that is going to be told to the jury. So go ahead, make him look really bad back in the days when you were embracing him as your personal attorney, because that's what you liked. That's what you embraced. And that is what's going to backfire if he goes hard on Cohen like that. So I just think they are doing a really, really elementary kind of non-subtle cross that is not been effective so far. And Michael Cohen is well prepped. Clearly the DA's office knew how to prep him and got him to where he needs to be. Now, today's a big day. And so hopefully Michael holds up. The prosecution has not been able to speak to him since he got off cross on Tuesday, because the rule is, or the law is, basically you're not allowed to talk to the witness when they're on cross examination. You're not allowed to go back and kind of help them and prep them. You just can't. So he's had to deal with it himself over the last, Wednesday yesterday was a day off, and back on cross today. And so I'm sure Todd Blanchard also got feedback, and so hopefully he's from his perspective, I'm sure he's going to retool his cross and take a different tack, because what he was doing is not effective. Either that, or he's going to do again what Donald Trump asked him to do, which is, try this in the court of public opinion rather than in a court of law, because what he's doing is not effective, and at least in my opinion. So we'll see how it goes. But today's a very, very big day. And then, as you said, after that, there might be a defense case, there might not. If there is a defense case, the prosecution may or may not put on a rebuttal case, and then come summations. And then summations go, the defense goes first, and then the prosecution goes after that, and then the jury is charged, and then it's in the jury's hands. And that is the long waiting for a verdict is one of the hardest things in the whole world. You can, we'll talk about that when we get to that point, but that's an intense, a very intense experience.
One of the things I love about our analysis, and I love about your analysis, though, is kind of preparing our viewers and the audience for things that are going to happen. Whereas it becomes this major breaking story when Donald Trump says he's not going to testify. And then the media is like, whoa. And they're like, how it becomes such a big story. It's like, we've been preparing people for that moment that may come today. May not, but where Justice Merchan's going to ask, are you putting on Donald Trump? And Trump's lawyer, Todd Blanche or Emil Bove or Susan Neckles, is going to say, no, he's not going to be taking the stand. And that's going to be a major story that may be in a few hours, and it may be, next week. I think also following the developments in the different cases is interesting too. Like, remember, Joe Tacopina. Remember that? Tacky Takapina is what they were calling him. He actually did, all things considered, when you think about the work he did in the first E. Jean Carroll trial, keeping that verdict at around $5 million. In retrospect, seems like he achieved a significant result given all of the facts against Donald Trump, and the fact that in the next defamation case against Donald Trump with post-judgment interest, it was like $90 million when Alina Habba was representing Trump. The reason I mentioned Joe Tacopina is Tacopina was the lawyer on this case. Remember, Tacopina was there after Donald Trump was indicted back 2 Marches ago, and then he quit. He left the team, and he went on MSNBC, told Al Sharpton that he had to look at his own moral compass, or words to that effect, and said, I'm not doing this anymore. And so you think about Tacopina not being a part of this team. You think about the rise of kind of Todd Blanche on the team. And Todd Blanche, again, by all accounts, was a kind of white collar defense lawyer and had a good reputation. But seeing how Donald Trump threw Tacopina under the bus, and just how Trump's behavior is so all encompassing, right? Like, Trump's behavior takes over the Republican Party. The Republican Party can't have an independent identity. It's the Trump Party. It's MAGA. Trump's lawyers, whether it's Susan Neckles, Todd Blanche, they become Trumpers. Like, good lawyers become Trumpers, and they're no longer good lawyers anymore. And you're watching this, and you're like, this is strange. This is some really bad lawyering from people who are supposed to be good lawyers. Like, what in the world is happening there? And you just see these kind of mini trials within the trial develop, from Stormy Daniels' compelling testimony to Michael Cohen's compelling testimony to Trump falling asleep to Trump bringing all of these Republicans to sit there and campaign in the court and to intimidate witnesses in front of the jury. Just the way this has developed, the twists and turns of this thing are just, are so odd, so strange, so many unforced errors by Donald Trump here and Trump's legal team. And I think it just raises a broader issue too of just his, I won't be political on this show, just overall judgment and character. It really shows in the pressure cooker of, as I called it, the fish box, which I meant the fish tank of the criminal trial. It's all on display. And so we head into this really big day, day 18, week 5. This is it. This is it right here, right now, in just a few moments. Karen, anything else you want to say?
I kind of like the term fish box, actually. Look, but Ben, by the time we have a verdict in this case, you will be a married man. So it's a big, momentous occasion that is happening in the middle of this big, momentous trial. So I'm really excited for you, and I'm really excited to be doing this with you.
Well, we couldn't be prouder to have you on the Midas Touch team and to have you leading our coverage on the Trump criminal trial and leading all coverage in the United States and in the world on this Trump criminal trial. Thank you, Karen Friedman and Agnifilo. Thank you, everybody, for watching. And we will be back soon. Keep checking in on the network for breaking news updates throughout the day. As always, make sure you hit subscribe. It's free to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Subscribe to audio on Legal AF as well. Thanks for watching.
Enough! Send it to the big house, not the White House. Get the new exclusive tees, mugs, and stickers right now at store.midastouch.com. That's store.midastouch.com.